Hey guys, Gungoober here. You may be wondering why in a video about the superiority of direct impingement internal piston systems, we're looking at a bunch of external piston guns. Well, I just wanted to show that I'm not biased and I do enjoy the external piston myself, but it's just a fact, they are inferior. Ah, good. We got those out of here to explain why this, the internal piston AR15, is the best self-loading rifle system ever devised. Let's define some terms. A standard AR-15 rifle uses an internal piston operating mechanism. Sometimes it is incorrectly referred to as a direct impingement or DI system. The way it works is when fired, gas is tapped off at the barrel, directed through a gas tube into the bolt through the gas key, where it creates pressure here, which pushes backwards on the bolt, unlocking it and allowing it to go back and load the next round. An external piston works much the same way, by tapping gas directly off the barrel into a piston, which pushes a rod, which pushes back on the top of the bolt to unlock the system and load the next round. First up, let's talk about weight. External piston systems will always weigh more. Why? Because external piston rifles move the piston out of the bolt carrier and onto the barrel, but the bolt carrier's mass cannot be reduced. It has to have enough mass to safely unlock, eject, and load a new round from the magazine. The majority of external piston rifles have bolts which weigh the same or are even heavier than an AR-15 internal piston design. The genius of the internal piston system is that by placing the piston inside the bolt carrier, it is able to spare the weight out there on the end of the barrel. Sure, some might argue that this extra weight is beneficial or that people should just hit the gym more, but here's the thing. Less weight in essential components mean you have more room in your weight budget for beneficial functionality like a light, IR laser, bipod, magnifier, suppressor, or whatever else you might want to slap on your gun. No one who has ever had to carry a rifle for a long time has ever complained that it was too light. Next, let's discuss recoil impulse. Because the internal piston is in line with the barrel, it produces a linear recoil force that is more pleasant and results in less muzzle rise. External piston systems suffer from carrier tilt, which produces an angular recoil force that creates more muzzle rise. Although the additional weight of a piston gun might make it appear softer shooting, the overall recoil experience is smoother with the internal piston. Suppressor, sound performance, is another crucial factor. Internal piston guns are quieter with a suppressor because external piston guns suffer from port pop. Port pop is something that happens where the expanding gases are able to escape from a hole that is not the suppressor. Because internal piston guns also have a piston, they also experience port pop. However, because the gas has a longer path to travel through the gas tube, it slows down a lot more, making them overall quieter. Handguard size is where the external piston systems really start to feel cumbersome. Most piston guns have a large handguard to accommodate that piston system. This Tavor is an extreme example, and this is an aftermarket handguard, but the stock one that it came with was even bulkier. Initially, HK tried to make the 416 the same dimensions as an AR-15. They tried to use a piston rod that was the same diameter as a gas tube, but they kept bending because it was too thin, so they had to thicken the rod, and this resulted in a taller Picatinny rail and a bulkier handguard. This leads external piston handguards to be uncomfortable to C-clamp and reach pressure pads for lights and lasers. However, there are piston systems like the Adams Arms, which offer a slim handguard, but they lock you into using specific handguards which have room for their piston system. Now on to reliability. It is often said that external piston weapons are more reliable, and there are military trials where the HK-416 went X number of rounds in between failures and outperformed an M16 or an M4. But the key difference there is manufacturing quality. If HK made an internal piston gun, it would be more reliable than a rack-grade M4 or M16. The difference isn't the operating system, it's the build quality. And as proof, there's a company, LMT, that makes direct impingement rifles that compete directly against the 416 for military contracts in other countries, and many of those countries have selected the internal piston system over the HK external piston. The original reason why the 416 was developed was to address the reliability issues of the super short Mark 18 versions of the AR-15 in the early 2000s, which especially had issues on full auto. However, those issues have since been resolved. The AR-15 internal piston is more reliable when dealing with debris like mud. The AR sealed system keeps debris out of the gun even with the dust cover open. This is thanks to tight tolerances and pressurization of the upper that results from the internal piston action. So there you have it. The AR-15 direct impingement internal piston system is lighter, has a better recoil impulse, performs quieter with a suppressor, offers a slimmer handguard, and can be just as, if not more reliable than its external piston counterpart. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if you're wrong. Thanks for watching.